Now let's get talking. Mr. Akin Fatuke, he's a chartered accountant and public affairs analyst. He joins us now. Thank you for joining us on the program today. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Frank. Nice to be here. Nice to have me. And good morning, Nigerians.
Okay. Good morning. So let's get talking now and look at first. I think we need to start from the last story here, which talk about the fact that the business condition in Nigeria has improved gradually. So from what you see, of what you can perceive in the society, talk to us. How true is this report that the business condition in Nigeria has improved? If you look at the Purchasing Managers Index, in that context, I think that's where the report is, coming from.
Oh yes, Frank. In all probabilities, there are many factors or levels of measuring whether prosperity is in the horizon or we are still groping in the dark. Like you said, just one of the measures, which is the Purchasing Managers Index, which we understand, and for the sake of people who may not be versed in it, that provides a clear idea of whether you are having an expansion in your economic activities from the purchasing manager's perspective.
Hello, Mr. Akin.
And brings in. Now, if this measure is
I guess we're probably having issues connecting or hearing Mr. Akin Fatuke. If we do have you, please continue on that thought.
Okay, right. I can hear you very, very clearly. And if it is less than 50 points, then that's a contraction. If you look at August, for instance, it's well be.
Oh no, not again. Okay. Well, I think Mr. Fatuke was trying to look at the fact that if it's less than 50%, perhaps it's negative. But going above 50%, that's, of course, it's a plus. But again, if you compare that with the reality on ground, how, relieving can things be? Talk to us. Hello, Mr. Akin.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
I can hear you so clearly. Now, that is the measure of the expansion. And if you look at the organized private sector, especially from the fourth quarter of this year, you could see that aggregate demand for goods and services are there. Perhaps the purchasing power to be able to get the dollar in an era where we have imported inflation and where we have, our exchange management blues still continues to drag us down. Because look at that fourth quarter, the output in new orders and the increase is going steadily, purchasing activities is going on accelerated pace, and that is the truth. And I can also tell you for free, that backlog increased for the fourth quarter.
Okay, I think there's a bit of disruption there with that connection. We'll just have to take a break now, and when we return, of course, we continue with that conversation. More stories coming your way. Please stay with us. All right, let's continue. We have Mr. Akin Fatuke now. Thank you for your time. Maybe we need to, because of our time, we need to move on to the next story. Let's get straight to the first story, which talk about the forest crisis, and of course that affects the power generation as well. I think that's the story. I don't know how that connects, but the headlines we are seeing there is that there seems to be impact of the forest crisis on the power sector, given the generation that was recorded between Monday and on Wednesday, which was yesterday, at 4,000 863.7 megawatts. Now, but talk to us your assessment in the improvement of power sector so far since the year began.
Well, I see that according to what we are hearing, power generation has improved. It has not yet percolated to the nooks, crannies, of the federation. But let's even take it the way it is. We've had about 18% improvement in the last few days. That followed about 5 weeks of stagnation, occasioned by yet another collapse in the grid that we saw on September 26, 2022. Between that and the fact that the power is moving up now, I don't know, like inflation. People talk about inflation to be at a particular rate, but when you really go out there, the real perception that you have is nearly a complete opposite. The GenCos and the transmission companies have struggled at the back of the incentive that has been given.
Well, I guess just another challenge with internet connection there. I think Mr. Akin was trying to let us know, the factors responsible for that.
Farm guarantee.
Okay.
I suppose.
Okay. Let me quickly add here. Yes, glad to have you now. Let me also add here that we've had series of great collapse since the year started. Then now we're having a good news that the power supply is improving gradually. Have we overcome this sabotage that the government painted earlier in the year? Because according to the government, the bit of sabotage, vandalism, and other issues as well. Have we gone past that? Is it time to say yes? It's time to really, sit down and smile based on our effort in the power sector. Can you hear me, Mr. Fatuke? Hello, Mr. Fatuke. Well, I think if you look at, of course, what this story talk about, that the power sector, the Federal Ministry of Power. Are you there now, Mr. Fatuke?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Yes. So give us your take on that before we move to the next story.
I tell you that, if you remember that the tinkering that goes on in that sector continues, but let's thank God that the federal government, if you remember that July 1st, 2022, they activated this partial power purchase agreement, the PPA, with GenCos to supply at the maximum 5,505 megahertz of electricity. And at the base load of 4,895, and that seems to be working. That guarantee is helping and is guaranteeing that payment is going to be made. Whether the distribution is now keen in to now see that this is spread the way it should be spread, it's is something that we are not seeing. So the 25 power generator plants have a clear incentive to really continue to do what they need to do to spread. But we need to acquire SCADA. SCADA is the supervisory and the data acquisition system that looks at Nigeria, the geographical area of Nigeria, and be able to now then ping and plug.
Okay.
Those are the things that will prevent some of this collapse that of the grid that might even come even as we are speaking.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Now, let's move to the next story quickly. The Federal Executive Council has approved about 506 billion naira to fix the East-West Road, and that's because of the recent damage that the flood has done to that particular road. Well, if you look at the impact of that flood across the nation, it's massive. How well do you think the government has responded to this, and how much, of course, how significant would this, change things or improve things, especially with this budget that has been approved, 506 billion naira?
The variation that we are talking about, so let me just quickly go and say that the infrastructure gaps that we have in road construction, we need to bring them to bear. Government need not be spending 506 billion in a situation where foreign capital are hovering. Let's list all the assets that we have and foreign capital will come on a BOT arrangement. And that is what I will be recommending. If you can still hear me, that is the truth of the matter. The 506 billion is a variation. It's a variation.
Okay.
And
let's move quickly as we wrap up on this now, Mr. Fatuke. Yeah. Okay. Point taken on that one. Let's move quickly as we wrap up on this one. Nigeria's submission to the OPEC Secretariat put September crude oil production at 938,000. So by implication, this means that in 9 months, the country has lost about 120 million barrels of crude oil. That's amount to about, if you put that together, that's about $12 billion in 9 months. How worried are you, and how worse can this production or performance get in the coming days?
Extremely worried, very, very terrible, worrisome that we have not been able to put our hands on the lid of all these pipeline leaks, oil thefts that is happening at high, very, very, very high places. The time was past when we thought that this was by artisanal community people. We now know that the combination of oil companies, governments, and the NNPC itself that are supposed to be looking at this, not look at it the way we need to look at it. It is very worrisome. It calls for dire need to now say to ourselves.
I think we just have to go now.
We are bleeding. We are bleeding on all sides.
Okay.
God help us.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time on the program. Mr. Akin Fatuke is a chartered accountant and a public affairs analyst. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me, Frank. I do have a nice day.
And you too. So to come after the break, we'll take a look at the earnings season and of course is third quarter financial result being released into the Nigerian capital market now. We're back to look at that in a moment. Please stay with us.